Welcome back everyone, my name is Gareth, this is Tech Check, and do you know what? We've got something really nice today, some good news to share because GPU prices are going down. Now, over the last couple of months, we've been stating that it might happen, it could happen, we've not really seen anything, but do you know what? These last couple of weeks, we've actually seen sales prices on eBay and Facebook declining, more availability in the marketplace, and for the first time, even over the last couple of days, I've seen 3080s for as little as £1,400. I've seen a massive dramatic decrease in all cards across all platforms over the last 3 to 4 days in total. Obviously that comes with the announcement from China reducing their prices and getting rid of cryptocurrency, and it's massively having an impact on the market, and I couldn't be happier. So I saw a deal about 2-3 days ago that it was too good to miss, because in all honesty, I've got a friend that's reached out to me and said, Gareth, I've got a certain budget and I want to build a gaming computer, would you be able to do me one? And I was like, not at the minute, not with that budget, no chance of buying all new parts and wanting to get the spec that you want for that budget. But what we should be able to do is, we've seen this recent change, we should be able to go out and look at the used market and see if we can get a good deal, and that's exactly what we did. So today I'm going to share with you what we've actually found. I'm going to go through what we actually do, or what I actually do once I've purchased a second-hand system, and actually just go through the whole process with you and share what I think is a fantastic little system. If you're interested, stick with me and I'll see you in a minute. So here it is, guys, a Predator Orion 3000 pre-built system. And you might be thinking to yourself, I thought you said this was something special. And to be quite frank with you, for what we've paid for it and the current state of the hardware and stuff like that, especially from a working perspective, I'm absolutely delighted. Now, just to put some perspective onto things, this actual computer is for one of my work colleagues' son. It's for his birthday, and we didn't have an obscene budget to actually go out and purchase and build anything we wanted. So we were looking for a budget PC that would potentially be okay for the next 2 to 3 years, that had good hardware, that was easy to maintain, and in a smaller form factor as well. And this ticked every box. So Predator Orion 3000, pre-built as we've already said. It's got some really nice hardware in there, so just to touch and cover off a few specs. It's got an i7 8700 in here. It's got an RTX 2060. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive and a 240 gig SSD as well. So plenty of basically capacity to run the latest AAA games. It's got quite a bit of storage. In all honesty, could do with another terabyte or a couple of terabytes for obviously these teenagers that want to have 100 games on their SSDs and HDDs. So from my perspective, I'm quite happy with regards to the capacity. A couple of things, and I want to run through it with you. I've not actually opened it up. I thought I would actually leave that as a surprise for obviously you guys. You can hear this at this moment in time. I do know that this is a blower style 2060 as well. So I am, there you go, you can hear it. I am expecting it to be quite dirty in here. And I apologise for the noise. I've got this running, it is downloading a few things in the background just so we can run a few tests for obviously the video. So in my eyes, this is an absolute steal, especially in the current state of affairs. Okay, so what I thought we'd do to keep things brief and to keep it snappy, I wanted to run a Cinebench score, and I wanted to actually show you guys what the temperatures were like. We're then just going to play a couple of minutes of Apex, see what our max temperatures are, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically turn it off. I'm going to rip it down to pieces, clean it all down, redo the GPU, repaste the CPU, clean it all up, and we'll do the same thing over and over again and see what the temperatures are like once it's actually been cleaned and re-thermal paste. Now, there is other things that you want to do. You want to make sure your hard drives are all clear. You want to make sure that your Windows updates are all up to date. You want to make sure your graphics drivers are compliant and up to date as well, to make sure that you're getting the uppermost performance out of this particular card and any other card that you obviously got in your system. A couple of other things that I would advise: making sure that you get rid of all the bloatware, because primarily whenever you buy a pre-built, it comes with, well, should we say, an incestuous amount of crap on the actual system itself. Not only does it take ages to load up, but it's a load of space that you can free up for games and pictures and everything else that you want to upload. So, couple of tips on when you're buying these. Obviously, make sure that you're doing that, guys, because it's going to make the system run quicker, it's going to feel snappier, and a system like this in 2021 is fully capable and making sure that you can basically get the most out of every game and get the maximum FPS. So without further ado, let's run a Cinebench R23 and we'll check hardware monitor to see what the temperatures are like. We'll do a bit of Apex and then we'll see what the results are like. So, very evident there, guys. We've got some sort of thermal temperature problem here, because on 2 of the calls we were hitting 99, on the 3rd call we were hitting 97, and on 3 of the calls we were hitting 100 degrees. So, what my intentions are, following obviously the next steps, to crack open this PC or computer, take off the side panel and actually just do a slight inspection to, number 1, the CPU cooler, and we need to check out that thermal paste as well, because that could have a huge difference. I don't know whether you've seen a couple of videos in the past, but we've seen 10 to 15 degrees difference just in poor CPU application of thermal paste. So, not saying that could be the issue, or not saying that is the issue, but I'm saying it could have an impact. And obviously on a system, especially a pre-built, if it's not been opened for the last 1 to 2 years, obviously it could have a huge difference. So that's something that we want to do. I don't think, and I'm sure you could hear the sound of the GPU, I don't think there's any point in obviously running a heaven benchmark at this moment in time. To be quite frank with you, if the CPU is running at that temperature, there's a very good chance that the GPU is going to be overheating as well and won't actually yield the right results. So what we're going to do, open this up, take it to pieces, have a quick look, and then we'll redo these tests afterwards, and I'm 100% guaranteed that we'll get much better results after it's all been cleaned. So let's open it up. So fairly straightforward, guys. All we've got to do is literally 2 little screws off the side panel, like in most cases. Holy monkeys. I think we figured out why we're hitting 100 degrees. Yeah, it's guys, just to give you a bit of an update there, that CPU cooler is absolutely clogged with hair, fur, dust, dirt, you name it. I can't see in between the fins of that actual cooler itself. Let's see if we can take this bit off here. Yeah, we can. There we go. So this is just our Seagate Barracuda standard hard drive, which is there, guys. Ugh. That gives us a little bit more room to work with. I can definitely see now this RTX 2060, which is obviously a blower style card. It is absolutely clogged to the max as well. It is filthy dirty. I mean, yeah. This potentially needs to go outside, and I need to put the vacuum cleaner on blow and just blow the hell out of this to get it clean. So I do not want to do that in here, else I'll have crap everywhere. So what I'm going to do is, just before I do that though, I want to just take off this CPU. While it's nice and warm, we can undo this. And I just want to give you a close-up of what this CPU cooler actually looks like. Remember to do this one corner then the other corner, guys, and there we go, it comes off nicely. So this is no wonder, guys, why this, and that is red hot. Okay, so no wonder this is actually 100 degrees. Hold it there, that'll do. Because it is absolutely clogged full of dust. Even around these bits here, it's full of dust. Now, the thermal paste doesn't look too bad. Not at all, it don't look too bad at all. But I'm guessing it's all to do with the amount of dust that's in here, guys. It's pretty straightforward. Dust and computers don't go great together, to be honest. Temperatures massively increase. So we'll undo that and we'll get this GPU out as well. Open our slot. There we go. There we go. Bit of a tight squeeze here. Yeah, and same again. Absolutely, I don't know whether you can see that in there, but it is absolutely chocker full of dust. But it's a fairly nice RTX 2060. It is a blower style one, so we do need to obviously undo this, guys. We need to take it to pieces. We need to re-thermal paste this, and we need to clean it all up because, yeah, it's filthy dirty. But what I want to do, now that they're out, I want to take this main system here, put some of this dust back in here, and I just want to go and basically blow this out using the Hoover. It's got a really strong blower on it, so the amount of rubbish that will come out of here, it will take 90% out of it, and then I just need to use basically a few other products just to get it clean. Bear with me and I'll be back in 2 minutes. So guys, all we've actually done there is we've just removed the CPU cooler or the fan cooler. We've reapplied some thermal paste. We've given it a hell of a nice clean. This looks nothing like it did, what, 40 minutes ago. So there is not one speck of dust inside here now. This CPU cooler is not matted up and knotted up with dust and hairs and everything else. It's had some it's had a fresh apply of thermal paste across the CPU, and we've made sure we've reseated the RAM. We've made sure that everything is nice and clean, so everything should be running a lot better than what it was previously. Now, just so you guys are aware, I did test and did check to make sure that all the latest drivers, all the latest updates, all the Windows, the BIOS and everything up was applicable to this board, and this PC was all up to date as well. So it was purely just to make sure then that inside was all clean and everything else, and I just wanted to share that with you. Obviously we run that baseline test, we were thermal throttling massively, our core clocks were reducing down to 3.2, 3.3 gig, and obviously we're hitting 100 degrees on, well, half of the cores. So that's our CPU back installed. So that removes the back plate, guys. All we've got to do then is remove these four here and these two screws here, and that will remove the PCB from the blower. And then what we can do then is we can gain access to the rest of this, and we can give this a really good clean out as well. There we go. That's not too bad at all. As I said, you take your time, guys, because what you don't want to do is rip all of these thermal pads here, and then basically you've got no protection for these components here, and all of a sudden you might even find that you're getting higher temperatures. So make sure that you do it nice and slowly. What if you can do, just be gentle with this, and just make sure that these thermal pads go back identically where they would have done. And see, even though still we blew this out, there is still bits of dust in here, so it's always nicer to actually give it a good clean out. This way you can get a little paintbrush around it, you can clean it up, you can blow it all the way through, and that way you know that it's not full of dust, and it's going to be much more better in terms of temps. In terms of the actual paste itself, it wasn't too bad. The paste, it feels alright, it's not too bad at all. So no issues, no problems. Just take your time, get it all cleaned up nicely, and then we can apply some new thermal paste as soon as we've took it all off. Right guys, so now that that's nice and clean, what I'm going to do is just take it back outside for one more time, just give it a quick blowout, this and this, just to make sure that everything is nice and basically clean, and then I'll be back in 1 minute. So all we've got to do now, guys, is reapply some thermal paste. You can put as much on here as you really want, don't go OTT so it's covering the whole thing, but don't be too shy with it either. So guys, now that we've got those screws in, we haven't got them in fully, what we want to do is tighten these in the same way as we would any other. We want to start in one corner, go to the opposite, just so that there's even pressure when we're applying this radiator to the back. We don't want all the paste to squidge out one side, okay? So we'll start with this one and we'll move over to this one, and all we'll keep doing is we'll keep alternating until we get to a point where we can't turn it anymore. Like I said, this is not a bad blower style actual card. It's got a large cavity, so it's easy to clean. There is a good chance if you didn't have to repaste this card, if you did have a blower or a powerful vacuum, you could actually just point this to the other side of this particular card down here, and all the dust would actually just fly out. You wouldn't actually have to worry about taking it to pieces like I've just took it to pieces. And generally speaking, guys, the thermal paste should last at least, with regular use, 2 to 3 years. I wouldn't worry about it. And I always say that unless you're actually experiencing some form of temperature issues, there's not a reason to actually change the thermal compound. It's normally okay for, well, they say 5 to 8 years. I always try and change it more often than that, but to be quite frank with you, it's not going to hurt it. So there we go. So our lovely 2060 is all repasted, nicely cleaned, all dusted out, no issues, no problems, all put back together really nicely. So as I said, what we need to do now, guys, is make sure that our PCIe slot is open. We need to ensure that this little bracket here is open as well, because this was a bit of a pain to get in. So let's see if we can get it in nicely. So, come on, in nicely. There we go. Right, there we go. So all we've got to do, guys, is line it up with our PCIe lane there. We need to make sure that it's fully lined up, and then we need to give it a slight push. There we go, until you hear that click. What we can do then is just slide this across to lock it in position. And then what we have got is we've got 2 screws here, which we need to lock it back into position. What we've got is we've got our 8-pin for our PCIe here, cable, for our power, for our GPU. We can reconnect that. RAM is nicely seated, CPU's been repasted, GPU's been pasted, the whole thing's been blown out, dusted and cleaned. Right, so what we have got to do is we've got our SATA data cable, which is here, and what we also need to do is pull out our SATA power cable, which is there. On the back of our hard drive, we've got our SATA data connection, which is there, and our SATA power cable, which is there. So that needs to go back into here. But before I do that, I want to ensure that I've connected them correctly. So, moment of truth. Is it going to be better? Well, it turns on. That's much, much better. So we're getting 34, 35, 36. So, granted, it's only been on for the last 2 minutes, okay? But we are seeing 33, 34, 35 degrees, comparable to 57, 58 degrees at idle, which for an i7-8700, 8700s primarily run hot anyway, much like the 9900s, but I'm much happier at 33, 34, 35 degrees than I am at 57, 58 degrees. So already one tick in the box. So let's have a look at Cinebench. So guys, let's run a Cinebench R23 test 2 now that everything's been done. Let's press start. So we're looking for anything less than 99 degrees or 100 degrees. So let me stop that there, guys. So very simple, straightforward. So we were at 74, 75 degrees, and our max temperature that we got was 96 degrees. That was the max temperature. Our max temperature on the other cores were 91, 94 and 95. So we've seen on 3 cores a 6-7 degree drop, and on the other 3 cores we've seen a 4-5 degree drop. Now that's just by changing that thermal paste, guys, and basically blowing out the cooler. Now it is an Intel stock cooler as well, so it's not the greatest cooler that you could have on an 8700K. So just bear in mind, guys, this is actually performing much better than what it was previously. We didn't thermal throttle. Yes, the cores did drop down to 3.4, but we still got a much better score, and we didn't have any 100 degrees across any cores or any package. So that's a win in my eyes. So what we'll do now, guys, is we'll run a Heaven 4 benchmark for the GPU. We'll keep hardware monitor open as well. We'll just test out the temperatures on the actual GPU. I know we didn't do a benchmark test beforehand, but to be quite frank with you, with the state and the amount of dust that came out of that and the thermal paste that I took off it, it's no doubt that it's going to be better now comparable to before. I just want to make sure that A, it's running at the temperatures that I'm happy with, and B, we're not going to incur any issues and we're not going to crash or anything like that. So let's see what comes. So you can see here, guys, NVIDIA RTX 2060, it's 2100 megahertz, memory's at 7001 megahertz. We're currently at 66 degrees. We're on scene 5 out of 26, so I'm half expecting that this is going to get louder and louder and louder as the temperature increases. So 230 FPS, something like that, which is quite good. For scene 6, temperatures raised to 72. I'm going to be quiet now and let this run out, but I would half expect this to reach just under 80 degrees. So now that Heaven benchmark's actually run, guys, we let it run through all 26 scenes. I like to do that just to make sure that we don't crash at any point. And to be quite frank with you, for that blower style card, we had an average temperature of 72 with a max of 85. So I was half expecting it to reach the 80s. God only knows what it would have been prior to me obviously cleaning it and the rest of the system being literally a fur bomb, but I'm quite happy with regards to that. We have to bear in mind that it is the blower style card, and obviously for me, I'm quite okay with those temperatures. So yes, it would be much better to have them running at a lower degrees, but we have to take into consideration the kind of cooling that particular card has, and obviously this is Heaven, which stresses the GPU, which in normal games it wouldn't do that for a consistent period of time. So all in all, we've stress tested the CPU, stress tested the GPU, we've updated all the drivers, we've cleared all the bloatware, we've wiped the hard drives, and we've made sure that everything is running up to date and no issues, no problems. The last thing I need to do is make sure that we can wipe any passwords and make sure the username is correct for my colleague's son, so it's nice for when he turns it on. And obviously that would be a bugger if you didn't have the passwords. So make sure, guys, last tip is, if you are purchasing a second-hand PC, if the current user has got a password on Windows sign-in, that they actually give you the password, or even better, that they wipe the hard drives so that you don't have to worry about it, because there is a way around it. Well, there's a number of different ways around it. You can actually go into the command prompt on system recovery, and you can change the utilman command prompt executive file to make sure that you can wipe the passwords, or you can download some software which will remove the password for you. But the much easier solution is just to get the password from the current user and current owner. So I'm hoping, guys, you will see that over the next couple of weeks, if not month, that GPU prices are going to be at an all-time low, especially for the last 18 months. And I'm hoping you guys will see some success in getting your hands on some of these newer and latest graphics cards. And if not, at least the 20 series will reduce in value for the ones that are on 10 series cards or before, so that you can upgrade your current computers. I'm really impressed with this little thing. I'm happy that we've purchased it. We had it for a very, very nice price, and in my eyes, I'm sure that Hayden will be over the moon with it. So happy birthday to you, Hayden. Hope you enjoy it. Loads of new games coming your way, I'm sure. And guys, if you've enjoyed the video, you like this type of content, be sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.